Well, at least I'm not those people doing those things at this time, which are totally against scripture. So I must be okay. Barry, you know, somehow that just seems like, well, it's an excuse for many, many people out there. On, by the way, this eve of the 9th of Av.
Yes.
A
Yes.
time in which we should be looking not at everyone else's house, but our own house.
I remember going with you and Hanok Young into the, I can't remember. Is the priest home there in Jerusalem that you go in and you see a media presentation of what it was like prior to the destruction of the Second Temple?
It's actually called the Burnt House.
The Burnt House.
Yeah, and I'm excited to go back this November because they have a new presentation that I'm told is not quite as cheesy. But yeah, the Burnt House is a house. They believe there was the story around this of a family of the priesthood who was basically fighting within themselves as the temple was burning.
Which is an amazing concept, that the second temple, first temple was destroyed, the rabbis say, because of immoral behaviors and so forth.
Yeah.
Whereas the second temple was destroyed because of hatred toward one another.
Yeah. The sign there says baseless hatred toward one another. Yeah.
So that's not so far removed. In all of the body of Mashiach, which covers a large territory of different vantage points and viewpoints, it includes people that we don't think ought to be included.
Yeah.
Because those same people have a mindset that maybe we should be included, but here we all are. Yah is putting together in his I started to say corral, in his sheepfold, those that we wonder, how did they get in here? The question ought to be is, am I worthy of being in here? What is my role now that I'm in here? So, looking around and comparing them among yourselves is not wise, the word says.
No, you sent me, the reason we're going to this is an article you sent me regarding the alphabet being accepted. I'll just say this in nice terms today. The alphabet being accepted by many different denominations. Well, guess what? That didn't just start yesterday.
No.
I can go back to the 1980s in Tucson, Arizona, and see where the churches were going with that. Okay, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be. It has happened in history. It's going to happen again. And I don't have to darken the door of that place. I can stand up. I can speak against it when I am given an opportunity. I can try to show people that is not scriptural. Okay, I got that. But in doing so, in focusing on those, and yes, I agree. We were talking about how we need to be, we do need to be aware of what's going on around us. But you unplugged from a lot of the news media a few years ago because you found it was a well that had a pretty dark place at the bottom and no living water, didn't you?
I used to be a bit of a news junkie, some years ago, especially, and when COVID hit, and I saw a clear agenda about issues pertaining to that, even in places where I thought were trustworthy, I got angry and said, that's it, I'm done. And so watching the nightly news at 6 or 7 was no longer a priority. Today, I'm more apt to scan headlines and glean what I can from the headlines. If something's, tugging at me, I'll glance over the article if it has any merit. I look more toward the news media from Israel more often now, because that's the center of Yah's focus, not the United States, which is a shock to some. But I came across this article, Mike, that Charlie Kirk had put out, and he was noting that, and his point of reference is churches, because that's where he has been visiting. He's not been going to Roots or Messianic congregations that I'm aware of. But what he was saying is that, in his estimation, there is the promotion of the false gods, being nice and tolerant, to the exception of preaching a gospel that is intended to be, at points, offensive and divisive.
Mm.
That when you tell people the truth, many people don't want to hear the truth and they become offended.
So true.
But his point of reference here is, or his intention is, we have to preach what is true. And he makes this point that the church is supposed to be a bulwark against tyranny, that liberty, personal liberty, is the Creator's idea, not man's idea.
Mm-hmm.
So if we preach a gospel where we affirm abortion and the alphabet situations and say, it's all okay, just come on in, we are failing to do what we're called to do, and therefore the church has become irrelevant, anemic. So, like, to your point, we can point our finger and say, we don't do that. Mm-hmm. Really? We're going to justify ourselves because we don't do the particular sins of someone else and deny our own issues?
Yeah, like the baseless hatred. Okay, and maybe the word for some would be would be, let me rephrase that. What if we rephrase the statement of 2,000 years ago to baseless division? Now, there'd be a concept.
Yeah.
Baseless division. So we, maybe a person spends a lot of time on the news. I can tell you that the more time that I spend in the news, the more negative I am. I had an opportunity this past, a couple of weeks ago. I was in Colorado, and there was no time. Okay, I didn't even look at the headlines, Barry. I didn't listen to anything the whole time. It was just, and I found that my attitude toward life was much better. So if you take that negative that's always being fed to you, it rolls over into other areas of life. That anger, that if you're spending time on all these broadcasts, internally you become angry. And that anger can now go over into other places.
Yeah.
It can also be that people begin to watch and to internalize all of this stuff in a way that it's like, well, I'm kind of, you become argumentative with the screen in front of you, which I'm not sure if you've ever noticed, Barry, that the person on the screen in front of you doesn't care how you feel. It's like throwing a TV brick. They don't know you threw it. They didn't feel the effects of it. Yelling at a person on a screen doesn't affect them. It does affect you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we take that and that becomes our demeanor, you then take it over into other things like study of scripture, like teachings that you listen to on a weekly or whatever basis. I can tell you I receive emails from time to time, and I know when I see the name come up, I know what it's going to be. I don't have to read the email because I know what it's going to be. Because there are certain people out there that will never, ever send an email, a text, a carrier pigeon, or a dog's leg message to me in any form of communication with anything positive. They'll never say, "Well, that was a good point. I've never thought of that," or I just enjoyed that, or thank you for the efforts but if you mispronounce a Hebrew word
Oh,
or say anything, then you're going to get an email. And it won't be the sandwich that we're supposed to do of, thank you for your broadcast. You're an idiot, but I really enjoy you. That's the way that we're supposed to do. It's just, you're an idiot. That's baseless disregard and disrespect for someone. Barry, I make mistakes. You make mistakes.
no.
I mean, I've talked to Laura. She says you've made one or two.
Yeah.
We make mistakes in our teachings. We make mistakes in our pronunciation. We make mistakes in all kinds of things. But if it just becomes this, people are looking at what we do in order to find the flaws, I turn it off. Because I don't need that. You don't need it. They don't need it. Figure out why. Why am I so negative about life? Maybe it's because of all the junk that I'm putting in. You fill a trash can full of trash. Don't sit and wonder why it smells bad.
Mm.
So if you fill yourself and you look at yourself as a media trash can and you fill it with media trash, don't be surprised when people don't like the way you smell.
I think a core issue here is trust. Um, I see this quite frequently where folks that came out of someplace else because they had estimated that someone, quote unquote, they lied to me. I was deceived by false doctrines, etc. They put up this very protective wall about, I don't know if I can listen to this person because I don't know that I can trust them. They'll have certain teachers, speakers that they do trust, and they find themselves ultimately in a place where anything that person says has got to be true because, well, I've learned I can trust them.
Mm-hmm.
But there again, Mike, anyone who is in a public speaking role, they're going to share with you what they discern to be accurate from Scripture to the best of their ability. Being human, that there's a chance that something is going to be not 100%. I mean, it happens. It may not be intentional, but even among the best of us, there are times where, maybe I need to go back and correct that because I see that there is a better way of saying it or a more accurate version of what I was trying to communicate. We need to be willing to accept that. Because in our daily walk, wherever we are, we do the exact same thing. We communicate to the best of our ability and understanding what we believe to be true, and then we find out the facts are different than what we had heard.
Yeah.
So it's called giving each other a little grace. Understand that when you're listening to whoever you're listening to, it's still your responsibility, no matter how polished, skilled, or accurate you discern that they are previously. Go behind them and check in the word yourself. we were deceived wherever we were deceived. We heard doctrines and accepted them because we were just told this is the way it is. And because of the trust level and because of the familiarity of wherever it was that we were, maybe our family had been there for generations. This is just the way it is. This is what we believe to be true. When we turn from that after further investigative studies, you still have to come to a place to where you give people a willing and listening ear, but then be a Berean and go check it out for yourself.
Yeah.
So if we don't do that, if we don't learn to trust, we're only going to listen to our select handful of people, which means we may not get the whole picture. I share from what my vantage point is. You do the same, so do others. But if you're only listening to me, that's only a very small, narrow perspective of the entirety of what's available. You have to be willing to broaden out. Even listening to people, Frank Houts of blessed memory, kind of promoted this understanding. You listen to people that you know you disagree with. You read their material so that you can learn why you disagree with them.
Yeah.
It's not enough to say, well, I don't accept that. I don't agree with that person. Why? Can you defend scripturally what you believe against what they are saying that they believe?
But, I also want to find people in my life that I can trust their opinions. I can trust what they are bringing forth. I deal with this a lot with Israel, that people will come up to me. And, I had the broadcast I just recorded a few minutes ago with Hanok, and I came up with a scenario. And at the end, I said, what do you think about that? He said, that's wrong. I said, okay, fine. I knew that. Okay. When I kind of brought forth this scenario, what I was trying to do, and probably, I don't know if many of the listeners would actually get this. I was trying to bring up something that how we can come up with things in our own thought processes, not really knowing all the facts. We can come to a different conclusion. We can come to a bad conclusion. That happens all the time with Israel. I was in a conversation with someone many years ago, and they were coming up with just, Looney Tune stuff. This was like cartoon basis. And I said, so when's the last time you've been to Israel? Well, I've never been. Okay, so you're telling me things about the land and the Jewish people based upon what? Well, something I read. Okay, but had they been to Israel? No. I remember someone talking to me about their concept of the city of David. The temple was not on the Temple Mount, but was in Er David, the city of David. And I said to them, I said, have you ever been to Israel? Well, no. I said, has the author been of this teaching been to Israel? No. So you wrote something that's totally out of any perspective because you have no idea. You've never been there. So you come up with crazy conclusions here. Finding proper sources is a great key to things. Well, Fox News. I mentioned this with Hanok. If you're looking to Fox News for your Israel truth, they're about as stupid as anybody else regarding this. They don't know. For the most part, the vast majority of people on Fox News are coming from a Catholic background.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some issues there, Barry. Just a few.
There is as you're saying, there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about the land. When Laura and I were going for our first trip, some number of years ago, back in 2001,
Hmm.
A family member was saying, "Why would you want to go there?" And in their understanding, it was all desert terrain with a bunch of rocks. And we were able to come back and inform them it's one of the most beautiful garden type spots on the earth. And it's amazing the technology and innovation that
Oh
uh,
yeah.
the Jews have employed in recapturing the land. The common phrase, they have irrigated the desert and drained the swamps. And they have done so in managing the land very successfully. There is a dry, barren area.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you want, desert and rocks, you can find it there. But if you want a garden spot that will leave your mouth hung open, you can find that as well.
Hmm.
That being said, how many misconceptions about the people are out there where we, again, back to our original point, well, we know who the Messiah is, and we know how to interpret the Torah correctly because, well, we know Messiah. I mentioned something the other day. Evidently, I referenced the Talmud, and somebody was saying, that's not scripture. No, the Talmud I don't count as scripture. Neither the Midrash or the Mishnah
Yeah.
or the Zohar or any of the other extra biblical writings. It's commentary. I have a bunch of commentary writings in my bookshelves here. They're not. They're insightful. They're helpful to gain a different perspective. Reading from even Christian authors on the Torah. I got a set of Barnes notes up here, and I'm amazed at it's a very old commentary, but it's a very insightful commentary.
Oh yeah.
Theologians from those days, uh, I'm amazed at times at how keen they are. And it's like, I never thought about it that way. You read such material just to provoke your thinking, because if you only have your own thoughts on things, that's a very narrow perspective. So,
Hmm.
uh, learning to read after rabbinical commentators, I know going in that there's going to probably be some things where I would say, I don't agree with that. But that doesn't mean that they don't have anything to say. The rabbinical minds have been scrutinizing the scriptures a lot longer and a lot deeper than we have. So
Oh
it
yeah.
just might behoove us to take a look on occasion. Now I
Hmm.
balance that. We should balance it between one side and the other and find where the heart of Messiah is in the middle of all of that. Pointing the finger and justifying ourselves by accusing someone else. Yah asked Yov at the end of this long discourse about why he was suffering. He asked him a question, and this has always intrigued me. Yah asked him, "Will you accuse me to justify yourself?"
Yeah.
And I watch people do that. Well, at least I didn't do thus and such, or I only
Hmm.
did what I did because of what so and so did. Accusing others to justify yourself.
Yeah.
So we can throw stones at those that we disagree with and say, well, at least I don't believe what they believe. At least I'm not. Classic example, the flat earth followers. You can divide yourself against those who disagree with you over the shape of the earth. What good is that? Why does the shape of the earth have to determine who you can and cannot relate to? We're still standing on the same earth together.
Yeah. I love the statement that a friend of mine made years ago of I'm not concerned about the shape of the earth, but the condition of the world. And I've actually used that a
Yeah.
couple of times with people that believe in the flat earth. I don't. Okay. And if somebody believes it, I don't care. But somehow, and somehow the vast majority of people that believe in the flat Earth, the statement of "I don't care," they can't accept that. Or I'm more concerned about the condition of the world. They can't accept that. When your agenda becomes so focused that someone else can't have an opinion on something. Now, I mean, I'm known as somebody that's. I believe strongly in my opinions. Yes,
That's why you.
I try to. Huh?
That's why you have them.
Yeah, I mean, I try to live my life. I try to live my life based upon conviction, not convenience. And so I have tried to study out and think through to logical, logical places. But I'm around people on a weekly basis that have totally different views than I do, that believe in evolution, that believe in in nothingness, that believe in atheism. I've tried to get to the place that I'm not going to insult them, because when you just insult someone over their views, wow, that's like close the door, So it's like this, Barry. When you're looking at back to our original thought process of, you can always find someone that's worse than you are. You can always find somebody that's more ungodly than you are. You can always find someone that makes you look good as opposed to them over there. But what about this thing of, of we all want to, the scripture says you'll reap what you sow.
Mm.
It goes on to say, judge not lest you be judged. No, I've got that. The translation, I believe, should be, do not cast the final judgment upon someone. Do not call them a fool. All right, because you don't know what path the Father has them on, maybe getting them to truth, and you're a part of that, and you can either become part of the process of them moving forward, or you can become part of the destruction of the process
Mm-hmm.
for them to move forward.
Becoming a stumbling block before your brother.
Yeah. So, all those things being scriptural and true, what if the Almighty decided tomorrow or this afternoon that He's going to begin to show us mercy by the same portion that we're giving mercy?
None of us really want that scenario, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's a different angle here. And before we run out of time, I'm going to grab this real quick. I opened with prayer before we got started, and I used this verse. It came to me earlier this morning. Yah says in the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah 66 and verse 1, the heavens are my footstool, or my throne, excuse me, and the earth is my footstool.
Yeah.
Where is this house that you build for me? Where is this place of my rest? Mankind, in his efforts to appease and relate and discern who Yah is, and respond to him in some way, has often thought, well, I need to build something for you. I need to do something for you. What we have built is not just buildings, but we have built institutions. We have built shrines around our thoughts and our perceptions and doctrines. And we have stuck the name of men on them.
Mm-hmm.
the Baptist denomination after John the Baptist, I perceive, or the Wesleyans after John Wesley, or it's I'm not throwing a stone at them because of the name over their door. It's just that we tend to build what we prefer. All along, Yah in the Torah said to Moshe, build the structure after the model that I have shown you in the heavenlies, and build it exactly so. And Yah gave the exact blueprints and measurements and fabrics and materials and concepts for everything that was to be included. When it was completed, he put the mark of his acceptance on it by Shekinah Yahweh manifesting in such a manner that even Moshe could not get near it. It was overwhelming for all of them. We don't want to build something like that. We want to build something other that we can go in and sit down inside of and feel at home ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if I come to Mike and Kathy's house, and when I walk in, I rearrange the furniture to my own preference, and I take your food out of the refrigerator and put my preferred items in, and say, okay, you guys going to sleep upstairs. I'm going to take your bedroom. I wouldn't be there very long, let alone be invited back. Have we not done the same?
If you clean the furniture and and put in maybe steak instead of hamburger, we'll talk about it.
Well, you're ruining my point, Mike. Don't rearrange my preaching here.
That's right. See?
The goal,
I got your point.
The goal is to partner with him and build what it is that he is building, what he is designing, which means laying aside what we would prefer. And that's not easily done, because we, as I said before, we all have these filters, and we hear what he wants, and then we filter it through. It's amazing that when Moshe gave the blueprints and the designs to those that were going to actually put hands-on crafting together on it, Bezalel and Holiav did not say to Moshe, well, I think it would be better if instead of 7 branches, maybe we should have a different number. And instead of solid gold, maybe we could build it out of wood first and then just overlay it with, it would be so much more easy to do. Yah didn't ask man for his opinion. He didn't ask for a construction crew meeting to discuss the blueprints. He just said, this is what I want, build it. Yeah. Are we willing to do that and not chide and divide ourselves away from those who are supposed to be working with us? Believe it or not, our vantage point and our roots associations, we're not the whole crew. There are others who are going to be building part of what it is that Yah wants, that we would scratch our head and say, how did they get on the building lot? This doesn't make any sense.
When we do things like that, we run the risk of not experiencing Exodus chapter 40. And I'm not going to even go into that. If you want to know if you don't know what Exodus chapter 40, last chapter of Exodus, if you don't know what go read it. Go read the ending and ask yourself, am I willing to build something that he doesn't want to show up for? Read the chapter.
It's like saying we're going to have a revival and Yah is not even aware of it.
Well, it's like asking myself the question, am I building something and putting his name on it? Am I putting his name on something he doesn't want his name on? Quickly, and I'm done. Many years ago, I was in Wakulla County, Florida, We had a camp there, a Baptist campground, and had great potential. And all of a sudden, there became a division in the midst of it. As I'm trying to talk through this with some people about this division and what was going on. One of the pastors, he was no longer pastoring, but had been, I think, at some point, looked at me and he says, "You're wrong. And the reason you're wrong is this. I came up with a plan and I knelt down right here and asked God to bless it." You know, I kind of looked at him and said, "I think you got that backwards. We need to kneel down and ask what his blessing is upon before we come up with our plans and ask him to bless what we've come up with."
Can't say it any better than that.
Yeah, well, sometimes I get something right.
This is a red letter day.
There you go. All right. Well, Barry, have fun. I got, we will not be broadcast. I will not have any broadcast next week. I had to, I only got 3 out of 4 done this week. And I'm not going to have any next week because starting tomorrow night, I go from 5 grandchildren to 7 grandchildren that will be here all at one time. And somebody has to protect my dog.
That's a very important role.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your grandchildren. And a lot of them are, they're all around the same age group. I mean, they're all kind of clumped in there together, aren't they?
We have one that's 12, and then the rest are from 6 years to about 6 months. So,
fun times.
Yeah. It's been fun so far, and looking forward to some more of it. So, this is family week for me and for Kathy. So, if you miss me next week, that's great. If you don't tell me.
Enjoy your family time. I know it's a rare opportunity for you to have all your kids together at one time. So may Yah put his favor and presence on that.
Thank you, Barry.
And may he put his favor and presence on you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your comments and questions. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. So until then, shalom, y'all.